Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Josh and we're here at South Dade Kia to film this 2025 Kia EV6 GT for y'all. With that being said, I want to give a huge shout out to South Dade Kia for allowing me to film this vehicle. If y'all are interested in purchasing any Kia or even their pre-owned vehicles, make sure to go ahead and contact Angel V. He'll be able to assist. So underneath the hood, we won't find an internal combustion engine because this is an all-electric model, but we do find a front area to go ahead and put some charging cables, or if you need to, put some snacks. But let's talk about some of the specs about this model. So this rides on the same 800 volt eGMP platform as basically all of Hyundai and Kia products that are currently on the market for the US market. This one right here produces 641 horsepower and 568 pound-feet of torque. That is sent to dual electric motors. So one electric motor in the front, one at the rear, to go ahead and have a combined all-wheel drive setup. Now, the interesting thing about this platform right here, or the GT variant, is that it actually has an limited slip differential at the rear to go ahead and help with sportiness driving. Now, the EV6 is the same exact thing as an Ioniq 5N, but it is a little bit more subdued in design profile. So we're gonna have a more mature-like look compared to the Ioniq 5N, which is something I prefer more when it comes to driving a vehicle. Let's talk about the styling cues. So up over here at the front, as you see, we do have the same exact headlight units as other EV6 with the DRLs up at the top, wrapping around nicely into the main projector beams, which is right here. Like that overall styling. And then down the middle, we do have another LED bar that's finished in white. Now, it doesn't have the amber effect. None of the GTs or GT lines come with the amber effect for this model. If you want to find that, that would likely be on a K5 GT. We have the new Kia badging right there, 360 degrees camera. And over here at the front bumper, we do have a grill slot, so it has active shutters to go ahead and cool the battery, of course. And we also find your whole entire safety sense down here in the middle, active cruise control, everything is embedded into there, as well as a faux front splitter. Now, this, like I said, is more subdued, which is something I prefer, and I think it looks really sharp. Even that area around there where that would typically be where a fog light would go, looks really nice with that silver accent. And also, this is yacht blue, but finished in matte, which is another key thing. I really like that look of a matte. It's more premium. And remember, these are built in South Korea. Getting over here to the wheels, we have a 21-inch wheels that are multi-toned. So we have the gloss black with the aluminum finish. And then behind that, we do find your neon brake caliper stamped with GT. It's actually covered up right now, but it does have the GT logo right there. I think this is really nice to see because with EVs, typically they have aero wheels. This is something I prefer. It's almost like a snowflake design going on right here, and it just looks really good compared to a GT line where it has like a triangle setup. Now, the side profile of this model, as you see, it has a really nice large front A-pillar that kind of rakes back into the overall top section of the roofline, and I think it looks super sharp. We have some nice creases on the side of the door section, as well as the door handles that do sit flush. Now, since the car is currently on, the door handles are actually sticking out, so whenever you do approach it, it will stick out as well. And when you lock it, they will shut flush. We have a nice design philosophy going underneath there as well on the lower section of the door. And we have some gloss black at this D-pillar section for the rear tailgate. Now, getting over here to the back, as you see, we have a full width LED light bar and some chrome accents right here that goes below that section. I think it looks really nice and very tasteful. Now, in Europe and I think in Korea, you actually have the turn signal indicators separated from the main brake light section. So your turn signals would be over here, so you wouldn't have this geometric design if you were in Europe or Korea. But in the States, we do have everything embedded into this light bar. I'm not sure why. I think it's kind of like a regulations for maybe some Korean vehicles. It's very common. I've seen it so many times with other manufacturers, but just know that it's very different in Europe. And of course, this is exactly where you have your charging port. So now we have the NACS charging port. Battery capacity for this vehicle is at 84 kilowatt hours. which is up from the previous, I believe it was 72 or 74 kilowatt hour battery. So that's a really good thing. This you could charge at Tesla charging sites, so it's just a plug and play kind of thing. And if you do need to charge it at a CCS area, that does have an adapter you can go ahead and equip. You do have the light bars over here. And I think we still have vehicle to load or something like that, where you can charge your house or charge some appliances with this right here, which is pretty nice. And as you see, it is an electronic style finish for the door. On the lower section, we do have the same gloss black as the front bumper wrapped around over here. And we even have some dual reflector light set up right here. So unlike the regular GT line that only has one, this one actually has dual. Kind of adds a little bit more design to the overall styling. And then over here, we do have a spoiler at the rear. So this is the same one that we find in the GT line. It does have the puddle lights underneath here, so it does illuminate on the floor if you do end up getting into an area where it is dark. Opening up the rear tailgate, it is a power tailgate as well. And as you see right here, it does come with a tonneau cover as standard. Now, amount of space, large amount of width as well. You can release the rear seats from here, or you can do that in the actual cabin, which I'm really happy to see that Kia does that. If you do end up the door not opening over here for the charge port, you can just open this right here, and it does have a little pull tab, so just keep that in mind. It actually shows a little diagram right there. We do have some hooks over here off to the side, so you can put some mats or something else like that. 12-volt outlet, and we have the Meridian speakers on the back section. Now over here, we do find a compartment space underneath, not a really deep one, but at least there's some compartment space. You can fit the tonneau cover into that slot right there, so just keep that in mind. And if you do need to remove the tonneau cover, you can remove it completely right there and add some more stuff. But it's pretty nice to see that we have some kind of flexibility, even though this is an EV. And then below here, when you open it up, as you see right there, there is a strut. So that's kind of like more rigidity off to the back section. I like the way that Kia thinks and adds some more sportiness. This is something you don't find in the regular GT line or any other ones. But popping the seats back here, as you see, very straightforward and down. Let's go ahead and shut that up. And as we open up the rear door, the door handle's already sticking out. Very nice, hefty, solid door. We do have some soft padding up at the top section. We also have the Meridian speakers right here with a nice door handle. Nice texture design right here. I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, but it does have like a nice metal finish. We also find Alcantara across the whole entire door panel right here. Rear heated seats for the outboard section, your window switch gear, and then some other stuff. We also have ambient lighting, Meridian sound system main speaker right there, and it's all she wrote. But as you see, once you release the rear seats, it does fold almost flat. It does have a little bit of a hump to it, but it's not as bad as what other manufacturers have. Now to go ahead and release it, you just press that lever right there and you can release that. Getting inside is really easy, and sitting behind myself at 5'10", let's go ahead and turn on the lights actually. Sitting behind myself at 5'10", I have ample amount of space because these are sport bucket seats for this model of the GT line, and it looks amazing. We do have pillar mounted vents, which thank you Kia for doing that. 2 USB Type-Cs right there, and it actually feels really good here. Now we do have a sunroof right here. When it comes to headroom wise, I actually have about 2 inches left over headroom space, and if we were to go ahead and put the seat a little bit more far back, we would have, you know, probably more space. I think maybe around 3 to 3.5 inches of space. Mind you, somebody who's 6 foot tall would probably have to slouch a little bit because of their overall body size, but nonetheless, it's actually a really good rear seat section. I like the way it feels back here. Even with this LED lighting that we have in the back, it shines brightly back here. So if your kids are either on the iPad, or if you're sitting back here in a long road trip and you want to read a book, you can just pop that button right there and it will illuminate. But it feels really, really nice back here. Let's go ahead and get into the front. Let's see how the new EV6 is. So Getting into the front section, opening up the door, we do have some soft potting across the whole entire dash section. Same suede Alcantara across the midsection. We have your window switchgear, your child lock, as well as other buttons for your mirror control right there. Meridian sound speaker right here, tweeter built up there, presets because these are power seats, and it just looks really nice with the ambient lighting all across it. Now these seats right here, like I mentioned, are the sport bucket seats. So they have the GT logo right there. Unfortunately, they're not illuminated like the Ioniq 5N. I really wish that at some point Kia comes out with a GT line or GT logo right there that does show the badge illuminated. We do have the neon green stitching across and the same piping down the middle with Alcantara as well. Now the good thing about these seats is we have ventilated and heated seats. So this is completely different from what, you know, a Elantra N would have, because this is the exact same seats from the Elantra N, believe it or not. They don't have the ventilated seats, but they do have heated seats depending on the market you go for. Now, when it comes to this interior, as you see right here, we do have a new steering wheel. So it has some nice stitching all across it with the neon green. We got the GT badging right there, your whole entire menu right here for your active cruise control, and then you have your volume control for your main media. Speaking about media, we do have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster and a 12.3-inch touchscreen display with over-the-air updates. So it does have over-the-air updates, and whenever an over-the-air update does come through, don't worry, it's not like a Jeep where it does it automatically once you park. It actually does it whenever you accept and say okay, which is a really nice feature to see. You know, this whole entire cabin space, I really liked it on the GT line version. We have some ambient lighting across here in the midsection. We have it across the whole entire dash with the same exact neon green across the vents. I really like that touch of the neon green. It's not overly done. When you look at an Ioniq 5N, it has like red piping. It's super open. This is more of my taste. It's a lot more mature in its overall design presence, and that's the thing that I like about Kia, is they're a little bit more mature in that aspect. You know, as somebody who is around their late 20s, this is something I would go for. We do have your switch gear right here, so go ahead and put it into reverse. As you see right there, we do have trajectory, and we have the sensors at the back, which is another thing. We also have a whole entire camera system that you can rotate the vehicle and see what's around you. Putting it into park is very straightforward there. We have your engine start button right there, and then we also have the ventilated seats, heated seats, and heated steering wheel with the same exact function for the passenger side. We have a wireless charging pad right here, so once you take your phone out, you can easily just put it right there, and it will have an illumination that tells you exactly where you are at for your charging, which is pretty nice to see. In the cup holder section, we have a round style finish, and then we have a larger square style finish. So this is something that would be helpful when it comes to maybe having a mug or some other stuff, or like a Stanley Cup. You can easily put it in here rather than here, which is pretty nice. And we have some more storage right there. Opening up here, we do have a large bin style finish with felt all around it, which is cool. This is not a thing that kind of locks in place. You just have it right there. It has a nice mesh material all across it, and the same material that you see across the dash. We also have the Meridian sound speakers across it as well, so right up there against the glass, and then we have one in the center. We also find a heads-up display as well, which is pretty nice to see. Now, one of the cool features about this vehicle that was new for the refresh models is that when we go into GT, we actually have a sound of what they call as VGS, so virtual gear sound or something like that. What this does is that you can even rev the car. So as you see right there, you can rev it. Now, it's not as customizable as an Ioniq 5N, which is quite all right, because I think this sounds really good. You even have your shift lights right there. So depending on, you know, the points of where you shift, it will show up that light bar as well. We also see some other stuff across the dash. So we see your settings for your steering wheel, whether you have it on 3 or 4. We also have your suspension setup and also regenerative braking for this model. Now, all that can be done through here. So if you go to vehicle, we also go to drive mode. This is where you can go ahead and activate the VGS. So if we were to turn that off, basically it stays quiet. When we turn it on, then it makes sounds. But as you see right there, it does tell you your overall range that you have. Now, depending on the drive mode that you're in, so let's say for example eco, it would actually shut it off and you can't activate it. Normal mode does turn it back on, but it's not as loud as the GT. Sport mode also kind of increases the sound, and in snow mode actually turns off VGS as well. So just keep that in mind when it comes to having the customization for that. But everything is here. Launch control will be embedded in there, so once you put launch control, it can go ahead and turn that on. Remember, we do have an electronic rear differential for this vehicle, but everything is pretty cool. I really like the fact that you can just go in here, we can go all the way down, turn on VGS, and then we have a sound for this vehicle, which is quite amazing. Off to the left, you're gonna find your brightness levels, your fuel or actual charging port section. We have your release for your trunk, and then we have the emergency parking brake with your stability and traction control disabled right there. Climate control is embedded into this screen right here, so you do have physical knobs. Now, the one thing I mentioned back when I did the EV6 is that it has this button setup where you press the button, it'll switch to like music or media for maps and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of this. I would rather have maybe a setup where across here would be like your climate control or some, you know, hotkeys to your navigation. That would be primarily better for me, but it's still good that we still have some physical knobs in this current climate that we live in, with everything going completely digital. But down below we do have some more storage space. We have a charging and a 12 volt there, USB type C for both media and charging, and one dedicated for charging. And that's pretty much when it comes to that whole entire subsection. Now up on the top we do have Alcantara across the whole entire dash. If you open up this window right here, this is your sunroof, so it will automatically open up, and it's a pretty large sunroof. It's the whole width of the top section of the vehicle, and you can't roll it back anymore, so just keep that in mind, unlike other vehicles. All right, so let's go ahead and take it out for a drive. All right, so let's go ahead and take it out for a drive, but before we do that, let's go ahead and look around one last time. So like I mentioned, eGMP platform, 800 volt architecture, battery capacity, 84 kilowatt hour battery. It has a range of 231 miles of range. Styling wise, it looks very similar to the GT line, but we do get some different accents. Like the wheels are completely different. They don't look like that triangle one that's currently on the GT line. We also get the neon green brake calipers right there in the back. Looks very nice. This is the yacht blue finish and matte, and especially underneath this LED lighting, it looks really good. We get a sport rear spoiler at the top section, nice wraparound LED lighting. We also get a full rear diffuser, and then the rear seat section, Alcantara across the whole entire door panel, and this is what the seats look like with recline availability. Full width sunroof over here, Alcantara. The sport bucket seats that we find in the Ioniq 5N is actually implemented into here with some nice neon green accents. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Let's go ahead and take it out for a drive. Now, putting into drive, very straightforward. It's a rotor style finish for the shifter, and let's see how this puppy does. So like I was mentioning, dual electric motor, 641 horsepower, 568 pound-feet of torque, sent to all four wheels. And the benefit about this vehicle right here is that this is an EV with an E limited slip differential at the rear. So it is a sport tuned rear differential, which is unheard of when it comes to a vehicle in this class and in this space for the price that it is. Now we're gonna go ahead and go over here to South Dixie and let's see how this vehicle performs. All right, so coming out over here, giving it some gas. Now right now I have it in normal mode and it gets up and goes, which is typical for an EV vehicle of this size. So it is currently raining outside right now, so you know, as when it comes to slippage and stuff like that, the wheels are gonna slip a little bit when you do give it some gas, but in normal driving, it's actually pretty good. Right now, I don't have VGS on, but this is the sport mode. Now, if we go into GT and we put VGS on, it does bring a little bit of that internal combustion life into the electric vehicle. And not only that, we do have some paddle shifters, so we can go ahead and have the 8 simulated gear shifter. So if we go ahead and floor it, that is absolutely insane. That feels amazing, man. Whoa. And then downshift, you know, it does have that little rev style finish. So whenever you do downshift, it's almost like a DCT transmission when you shift it. Now, like I mentioned, this one cannot be customizable. So that means you can't have it like the Ioniq 5N where you can change it into rally or anything else. This is actually just one exact sound the whole entire time. And like I said, you have 8 gear selects to go ahead and choose from. So just keep that in mind. Man, that thing, you press on that accelerator and it just gets up and goes, man. Holy cow. Wow, you can really feel that limited slip differential at the rear actually distributing power a lot better than what you would feel if this vehicle did not have a limited slip differential. The way that it hunkered down entirely for this all-wheel drive setup, and then what it did is it kind of shifted power to each wheel to go ahead and gain grip so that it can propel you forward. That is impressive, very impressive. Oh my goodness gracious, this is something else. The way that this car feels, even in the suspension setup, because I kind of have it right now in its harshest suspension setup, the bumps don't feel as bumpy. This is not like kind of like a BMW where when you have a suspension that can be tuned differently when you're in different drive modes, it, you know, firms up so bad that it feels so jittery and gross for when you're driving. This feels a lot better. This is nicely tuned, it's sport tuned, but it still has that level of comfortability that I would look for when it comes to a vehicle entirely. Now, this does have the regenerative braking, so once you let off the gas, it does have that enabled. This feels so fun to drive and maneuver. Look at that. Look at that. That is amazing. Oh my God, that is absolutely ridiculous. Holy crap. Hats off to the whole entire Kia team for making a vehicle that feels this good, and it's an EV. Not many can make an EV as fun as what Kia just did over here. That was impressive. The overall feel that when you were to go ahead and kick down your foot, the traction control at the rear, even though I do have the traction control off, that limited slip differential helps out so much. It is absolutely impressive. Now let's go ahead and actually reverse it into the bay right here. So my overall final thoughts with this vehicle. I love it. I think it's something that you have to try. The suspension setup is a huge thing for me. I like when the suspension setup is something where it's not too harsh for the occupants at all, especially the driver. I don't like it when it's too firm like what the Hyundai has. It's a lot more firmer than what this is. Also, the power delivery in here. Once you put your foot on the accelerator, it goes, you know, that 641 horsepower really comes through. You can really feel that hunker down at the rear, the limited slip differential. I know I spoke about this before, but it is a huge thing to have in an electric car. Whether it's something that shouldn't be an electric car or it should be, I believe it should be something that's an electric car, because you do need a little bit more help when it comes to slippery roads like that. That is very important. Now, when it comes to the interior, I love the overall interior. I love seeing outside of the vehicle. The windscreen, the way that it kind of just comes towards you is a lot better. You can see out great when it comes to this, especially at stoplights. You can still see the stoplights when you are at the front line. This interior, the seats, the bucket style seats that are powered, heated and cooled seats, which is absolutely impressive for these type of seats. You know, usually when you see bucket style seats in this class and at the price point that it's at, they don't have heated and cooled seats, as well as a heated steering wheel. Steering wheel wise, feels great. The 9-3 grip is absolutely amazing. Feels amazing. Honestly, you need to get your hands on one of this and try it out for yourself. But with that being said, once again, thank you to South Dade Kia for allowing me to film this vehicle, as well as Angel V. Make sure to go ahead and contact him. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see y'all in the next video. Make sure to go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Peace.